Hi, welcome to the Story Bank at Stories at Work, a series where I curate stories from across the world that you can use in business. Before I start today, I have a request. If you like these stories, do go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, and also share this link with your friends and colleagues. Our objective is to really use stories to bring humanity back to the workplace. So in 2014, I heard a 3-minute TED Talk which had a huge impact on me. It was one of those filler talks, not the main 17 minutes, but the aha it gave me was amazing. This talk was about followership. But today's story is not about the topic, but about the speaker of that talk, a guy called Derek Sivers. Derek is an author, a musician, an entrepreneur, and a generator of pearls of wisdom. Let's start today's story. I heard the story I'm going to share when Derek Sivers appeared on Tim Ferriss's podcast show. Tim Ferriss is the author of the book 4-Hour Workweek and also the producer of one of the most popular podcasts in the world. So Tim Ferriss starts by telling Derek Sivers that one of the problems he faces is that he's an A-type personality, and he's always trying to work very hard and very long to make sure that he leaves very little to chance. But as a result, he's almost like a candle burning at both ends. That's when Derek Sivers says he too was like this till he had an aha moment on a bike ride. So Sivers at that point in time was living in LA, near the beach at Santa Monica. On the beach at Santa Monica, there was a bike track, about 20 kilometers long, running on the shore, a sand track for people to cycle. So Derek Sivers had decided that he wants to get a bit fitter, so decided to cycle every day. And every day he would take his bike to the starting point and pedal as hard as he could till he reached the other end, turned around, reached the final end, turned around and came back to the starting point. And every day he would put in everything he has got into this bike ride. And at the end he would time himself, and almost always it was 43 minutes. But he was left red-faced, huffing and puffing, and usually completely exhausted and sometimes in pain. With time, Derek started noticing that he was no longer psyched about going to his bike ride. He had started associating it with pain and discomfort. He had been an avid biker all his life and he liked riding, and he didn't want this negative association to remain. So one day he decided to take it easy. He told himself, I'm going to chill a bit. I'm no longer going to push myself and I'm going to enjoy my ride. I won't go at snail speed, but maybe half my speed. So the next day, he decides to take it a bit easy. He gets on his bike and starts riding slowly. He starts noticing many things that he hadn't noticed before. He sees houses on the way. He sees the trees. He even sees, some dolphins frolicking in the waves. When he reaches the end of his bike track at Marina del Rey, he sees a pelican flying. As he looks up at the pelican, with remarkable accuracy, the pelican poops right into his mouth. Well, while that wasn't very pleasant, by the time Derek finished his round from one end to the other and back to his starting point, he was feeling very pleasant, very refreshed. And then he looked at his watch and it said 45 minutes. Derek kept looking at his watch and it kept reading 45 minutes. And that's when he had his aha moment. He realized that all this going flat out was giving him marginal returns. This profound lesson that his huffing and puffing and his red-faced and all that pain was giving him 2 minutes, really basically nothing. And he wasn't competing for anything, so that huffing and puffing was really not worth it. When Derek reflected about his life and his A-type personality, he realized that he was pushing himself as hard for everything, trying to squeeze every minute and second out of every hour, trying to squeeze every benefit out of every dollar, and all this was causing him a lot of stress. And if he chilled out a little, the impact would be marginal, but he would be far happier. So now, Derek makes it a point to be aware of what causes him internal discomfort and emotional pain. And if he ever sees that happening, he recalibrates and makes sure that he chills a little, is effective but happy. And his advice is, try everything, do everything, do your best, but don't push yourself for that extra 2 minutes. It's not worth it. What a beautiful story. Where in business can you use this story? Well, one is when you're coaching or mentoring someone who's pushing himself or herself too hard, this could be a great story to use to explain the lack of benefit of marginal returns. The second is when you're teaching your teams to look after their teams, to ensure they understand what might be happening to them, especially in terms of crisis. Like now during this COVID-19 crisis, everyone is working very hard and very long. But we now know that this is going to stay for some time, and people need to understand that while they push themselves, they shouldn't get burnt out. This would be a great story to use to explain that. I'm also a big believer about vocabulary getting into teams and organizations. When stories like these get embedded, then you can use them as short form. For example, you could be discussing a project and say, do we need to go to a 43 route or can we do it by the 45? Or you could tell someone, I think you're doing a 43 on this one. It's not worth it. So stories can help shorten and get the message across beautifully. I hope you liked that story, and if you did, go to our YouTube channel and don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon so that you get an alert every time we put on stories. And we have 2 every week. We have 2 huge playlists. The Leaders Speak playlist, where leaders from across the world have shared stories that have shaped opinions they have, and the Story Bank series, where I've curated stories from across the world. All these stories are ones that you can use in business. I'll see you next week. Till then, take care and stay safe.